Recorded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Oh, I get a choice to leave the meeting.
No, thank you.
So I'll call the November 17th, 2021 Board of Water Commissioners meeting to order. Present are Commissioners Robinson, Horsley, Hoppenstead, Superintendent Wiseman, and Office Manager Nash, as well as several other guests and one of our water specialists, our technician Matt Dwyer. So
yeah, welcome, Matt.
we have a nice group of people here. The agenda for tonight starts off with public comment. We are going to open it up for public comment, and then I think we're going to go to the source water resource plan.
And you have no public present.
No public present. Okay. So I think we'll move that up, right? We're going to go into the source water protection plan update so that these fine folks that are joining us today can carry on with their usual responsibilities.
So Tom, let me just jump in here for starters and say first of all, thank you for moving them up on the agenda. They have a lot of work to do tonight. I know that for a fact. So they got to get off this and get back to work on their papers tonight. But anyways, I appreciate that they joined us tonight. This was this above and beyond. We did plan to make we are planning to make a presentation in December, but we're partway through the work. We've had a field visit and a lot of hard work done. So I offered to them to basically come and say hello and give you a teaser as to the kind of things they're doing and what's going on. So they put together a very brief slideshow. I don't think it'll take 5 minutes or less, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair. And I'll turn it over, I guess, to Ashley, just to kind of kick stuff off here. Ashley?
Great. Thank you, Scott. Jen, I know I shared slides with you. Would you like me to present from my computer, or would you?
Sharing my screen right now. Do you want me to go to the bios or the slideshow?
The slideshow is great. The bios can just be considered an appendix. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
Okay, so again, thank you all for having us tonight. As Scott said, Jared and Casey and I are here really to give you a preview leading up to the presentation we'll deliver at the December commission meeting. And so quickly we'll run through. Jared will get us started by taking you through our project approach and some of the fantastic maps he's produced of the land surrounding the Cotuit wells. We'll go over the contaminants of focus that we're prioritizing for this project, and Casey will share some preliminary highlights from the nitrate data we've reviewed, and then we'll close out with a list of next steps. Next slide, please. But first, I do want to briefly introduce our team. As you can see, 3 of us are here tonight, and we are very much an interdisciplinary group of Tufts University students coming from a variety of backgrounds, including policy, science, marketing, and urban planning. And each of us raised our hand to be part of this project when Scott offered it up at the beginning of the semester. So we are all incredibly grateful for this opportunity and to be here. And before we get started, I do want to acknowledge the contributions of Bruce Young from the Mass Rural Water Association. He's been providing technical guidance and strategic direction along with Scott every step of the way. And lastly, Jen, just a big thank you to you and to the Cotuit Water Department for all the data you've provided us and to being so responsive to our requests throughout. None of this would be possible without everyone. So just again, thank you for allowing us to be here. And Jared will get us started with the next slide.
Thanks, Ashley. So first, I'm Jared. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us. So basically, the approach that we're taking to this project is we're building on Tom Cambereri's hydrogeologic study from April 2021 that many of you might be familiar with. He provided us with delineations of seasonal contributing areas, and we're taking that kind of a step further and detailing maps of land use within those contributing areas. And we identified 3 contaminants of interest: sodium, nitrate, and CEC, like PFAS. And from there, we're going to develop management recommendations on what we can do about those in those parcels, in those contributing areas. Could you go to the next slide? Thank you. So here's an example of how we're taking Tom's analysis and using it for our project. So Tom did those delineations. He did the off-season and the summer contributing areas. What we're doing is we're taking that a step further, and we added in the parcels and land use data. And so we're going to be able to identify parcels within those contributing areas that might be relevant to certain recommendations about what to do about sodium, PFAS, and nitrate within Cotuit's well water. Next slide. Casey, you're muted.
Oh boy. I feel too young to do that. It's what my mom always says.
Yeah, you're not supposed to make those mistakes. The old guys.
Anyway, this is just a brief overview of some of the trends in nitrate. This is a graph of the annual results from all 5 wells that make up the source water. And as you can see, there's just a brief but still significant upwards trend. Starting about 25 years ago, the average level was around 1.5 milligrams per liter, and it's moved just above 2 now. And that trend is continuing to increase. And what we've also found is that a few wells, 1 and 5 in particular, have more sharp upwards trajectories. And so I think that's sort of informing how we're going to make recommendations, sort of to be the most cost effective possible, and what are the really high priority parcels to sort of start some of this potential treatment or remediation. Also, just a brief comment on sodium. Julie Silverman is the member of our team who's focusing on that. She's not able to be here tonight, but from what she's reviewed, sodium has been increasing as well, particularly in well 5. And that's the well that's seen sort of the sharpest increase in recent years. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. And so our next steps are to sort of fine tune some of our analysis, make a few revisions here and there, and update a couple of maps, and then move into developing some recommendations. And like was mentioned earlier, we're really grateful for help from Scott, and also from Bruce Young from the Mass Rural Water Association, who have been guiding us every step of the way and answering questions, and making sure that a bunch of students are hopefully making a positive contribution. And so we're planning on finishing our draft report in early December, and then making that presentation again at the December meeting. And so just wanted to say thank you also again on behalf of all of us for allowing us to sort of do some of this work, and hopefully make a positive contribution. And great meeting all of you over Zoom, and thank you.
Thanks everybody. Any quick questions from the commissioners while they're here? This is just a preliminary introduction. More coming, more detail coming.
I think I'll wait for the final report. It looks like it's on a good track.
Yeah, to me, it sounds like a super plan as well. I like taking Tom's work and building upon that. That's a great approach.
Yeah.
And we'll carry on. We'll move forward. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you back on December 8th. And I'll see you guys on Friday morning.
Thanks,
Thanks
everyone.
a lot.
Good night.
Thanks again. Good night.
Guys.
All right, that was a nice update. Nice to see some new faces helping us out there. It's great. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
I guess the next on our agenda would be to take a look at the meeting minutes from the regular meeting, which I've had a chance to look at. I don't know if other folks have.
Yeah, I looked at them. They look fine to me.
I took a very quick look and I have no amendments.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I'll come by and sign those
Thanks, Tom.
tomorrow or sometime soon. Okay. We're gonna put the executive session meeting minutes on hold until we go into executive session at the end of this meeting for the sole purpose of just approving those minutes. So we'll move on to water quality report.
All right, that would be me. Okay, for the month of October, we didn't have any coliform hits. We were clear. We did do SOCs at Station 3 and everything that was in there, the synthetic organic contaminants were no detect on everything. That's one of the state regulated tests that we have to do, and it's only Station 3 because of the location of it and past testing. We did get some sodium results actually today. We did testing on the 4th. We didn't do the raw water that we had talked about because we didn't talk about it till after we had done the original testing, but we did do Monday 13 tests instead of the normal 8 that we would have done. So we'll have those results for the next meeting, the raw, treated, and the blended, the 3 blended at the other locations. I did get, it's not on this that you guys are looking at right now in front of us, Main Street, West Street, and tank in the Santuit tank. I did get some results from them late after this was put together and sent out. Main Street was 24, West Street was 26, and Santuit was 26, which didn't really mess with the average much at all. But it is increasing steadily. We'll have a little more after we do this every month to see if that's, you know, I don't understand why it would be increasing too much when we're pumping a lot less right now, but that's how it is. Yeah.
Trading. Scott's got his hand up.
Yeah, Chris and Jen, again, thank you both for providing so much support for the students doing their work. I did want to just kind of clarify on the sodium. I mentioned Julie Silverman is the student looking at sodium, and I've asked her to make sure that her analysis clearly separates the raw water versus treated. And I think, frankly, she's having a hard time getting her head around which data shows which. So if one or both of you, one of you could sort of make sure that that's clear with her, that would be great. Because when the report comes out, I want the commissioners to have, you know, a clear understanding of that. So that's point number one. And then the second point, which I recently read an article by one of my favorite researchers up at Waterloo in Canada, Will Robertson, who's a real expert on septic systems. And I had kind of forgotten this, but he identified septic systems as a pretty significant sodium source in addition to road salts. So it got me thinking again, like, as you just said, Chris, even during the low pumping, I mean, lower pumping means more concentrated, less dilution too. So, and I'm going to talk about this with the students. I've been thinking it's mostly road salts, and it probably still may be, but the septic systems, according to Robertson, are a pretty big contributor to sodium as well. So I think we're going to try to sort that out a little bit more. But I think this is very interesting data. And again, I just want to make sure that we have it identified clearly as treated versus raw. So thank you. That's all.
Just a little clarification with that too, Scott. And highlighted here is the only raw samples that we have taken in this entire graph. We did talk to, I think it's Julie.
Yep.
Yes.
Julie.
Yeah, we did talk to Julie. Jen was back and forth doing a couple of emails with her, and she confirmed it with her that this was the only testing that day that was done. It was raw water, and I think that was actually Mark who suggested that back in 2019 that we test it. But we did that, and I don't know if we did not see much of a difference at all, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Some things were lower, some things were higher, and I don't know if the sodium hypochlorite is actually going to affect as much as we would assume it would, but we'll find out. This next test that we took on Monday will let us know a little more. They were both taken right at the same time.
Chris, when we would expect to have those results? I'm wondering if they might be available before the students finish their
It-
work.
It's kind of, I doubt it.
Okay,
Because
Okay,
I don't know if we can put a rush on them, to tell you the truth. And I've already turned them in on Monday, and I just got the results back today from that we took on the 4th
yeah,
of the month. So, maybe, there's no way that they'll get here by December 8th or even before that, so they can actually put it in. It might be something that we might want to just keep
okay.
on the
That's
schedule afterwards. Yeah.
And it would be also interesting, I think, I don't know if we did this on December 8th, or whenever you sampled recently, but to do the raw and treated on the same day to compare. Is that what you did?
Yes,
Or-
yes.
Oh, you
On
did? Okay,
Monday,
good,
yeah,
good.
on Monday, we took 2 samples at each station, one treated, one
Okay,
raw
perfect,
for
perfect.
sodium. And we also did the West Street tank, Santuit and Main Street to see what the blended was, just because we're doing them anyways.
All right, thank you. That should clarify that. As you say, you think it's a minor difference. I tend to agree with you, but it'd be just
Yeah.
nice to confirm that.
Yeah. And we have enough bottles to do it for a few months and everything else at the shop. And that
Good,
was our
thank you.
plan. Yep.
Thank you.
That's great.
Just
Well-
refresh my memory, that 30 is the health advisory number.
20.
20 years,
20 is.
correct.
Not
Yeah,
too
right
good.
now with that average, that's what the state is going to see from us, that 24.2. That's what's going to go into the report, and they're going to know that we're higher than we should be, but I think that's Cape wide right now.
Scott, is that
Um,
anything that the students are doing, is comparing it with nearby? Like Mashpee, Marston's Mills, Sandwich?
I can ask about that. I don't know if they are doing that, but I know that Bruce, this is one of Bruce's areas of expertise. He's looked at the salt issue across the state. So he might be able to provide some further guidance, but I'll make a note here to ask Julie to see if she could compare to, you're saying other water departments on the Cape? Is that what you
Well,
suggest?
nearby,
Nearby, yeah. So calm,
Mashpee,
probably.
Calm,
Okay,
Sandwich, maybe.
okay. I can ask her to do that, sure.
And that's parts per million, correct?
Yes. Chris, just remind me, what is our responsibility to notify the public about this?
It's kind of a weird thing, but we have to just say, basically, if you if your doctors advise you to have a low sodium diet, please notify them and tell them what your water levels are. The recommended daily allowance and everything else. So they might tell you, hey, that little bit of salt we told you to eat, don't eat at all.
Yeah.
Is salt anything that is filtered out by any kind of tap filter?
Reverse osmosis, I was reading a little bit on it today, will take out sodium. I didn't realize that until today, actually. I was just reading up, it will take out like your iron, your manganese, anything like that. It has been known to take out sodium also.
I think that's one of the more expensive treatment.
It
methods.
is the most really out
Reverse
there. Yeah.
osmosis. Any idea what that costs for a homeowner? Chris,
I'm
it's
not
pretty
sure,
pricey,
but
I
I
think.
know that Home Depot sells them in Lowe's and stuff like that you can hook right up to your kitchen sink.
Okay.
The one other thing that I wanted to talk about underwater quality is, along with those tests that we did on Monday, we did bacteria tests, and we had a total coliform hit at the Santuit tank. We have to for the total coliform rule, we have to do a repeat sample, an upstream and a downstream, which are at designated locations. And we did do the follow-up testing, and they all came back negative. So we're out. We're out of. We didn't get into any kind of violation or anything like that. So we don't know what it was, what happened, but I think it's more right now that we went from pumping, 20+ million down to 14 in a month. And I think it's just a matter that everything's sitting there. We're not getting as much turnover in our our tanks and everything. We have lowered them down. We've increased the chlorine right now, so we're on it. But it just happened. So you'll hear about it. It's not really supposed to, I guess, be in this report. It should be in next report. My next report, I'll say it under there again that we had one total coliform hit.
Okay, other questions?
Go right ahead.
Anything else on water quality?
Nope, that's it.
And that was just the one tank that we had to hit on. Was that
Correct.
after a big rainfall, Chris? That after one of those huge rain events that we had when the tornado showed up?
Yeah, it could. It
Right.
happened. We tested it on Monday. So yeah, we
Okay.
had a few events, and it was a tank. So that water could have been there from anywhere from 3 days ago.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. All right, thank you. Moving on to the superintendent's report. If there's no other questions.
All right. This is superintendent's report read on November 17th for October of 2021. In October of 2020, we pumped 20,396,000 gallons of water. And in October of 2021, we pumped 14,568,000 gallons for a difference of 5,828,000 less. So we really have drastically in the last, even looking at this chart here, how much in the last 4 months we've just cut down our flow is unbelievable. And I kind of wonder if people are starting to go home and not sticking around like they did last year during pandemic and everything. People are starting to get out a little more. I think that the irrigation policy is helping. I think that's helped quite a bit through the summer here and everything.
Mr. Chairman.
It might be interesting to look at 2019.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, which is more of a base year maybe than 20,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
I could pop that up and see if we can get into a 3-year
I'll add that to the
comparison.
chart and send it out.
Yeah, maybe from now on. I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking, Mark. Last year is definitely a weird year. So why don't we suggest each month when we look at this to look at 3 years instead of the 2?
Will do.
Sounds good.
Good idea.
It also, 2019 was, did not reflect the changes in the rates yet, did it?
They went in July of 2019, so this
people
heavy
were
water
earlier.
season would July forward and have the new rates.
But that was not the big change that we made just recently.
No, that
No.
doesn't go until January of 2020, 2022.
Go on. Yeah, sorry.
And just as anecdote, I've seen Desmond well drilling out on 2 properties in the last couple of weeks. Not looking around, just happened to driving by. So there are some wells going in,
Yeah, there
some
are.
private wells.
Nice. And I've been talking, we've got a few new houses go in and telling the people that this is what they have to do. If they want irrigation, they're going to have to put their own well in.
Yep. Great.
Okay, so under just a few things to discuss. We did have one brand new service put in on Little River Road. He had a well that was going bad. So he switched over. I told him to keep his well and put it on his irrigation system if he had one. So yeah, they had a new guy turn over there. We had one new service.
Which
Had
number
kind of
was
a
that
weird-
on Little River, Chris?
The other side, not your side, the other side, going towards the last one before the conservation area on the, if you were going towards Putnam on the right.
Okay.
Very nice gentleman. That's who I met over there, at least.
British.
Yes. Okay. I had our first person call and say, "Don't you guys have an irrigation policy? Because we have somebody down the street from my house putting in an irrigation system right now." So I grabbed the policy and I went out there, and I didn't talk to the homeowner at the time. I did get to talk to the people that were installing it. And I think we found our first loophole in our policy. they were extending 5 heads down the driveway to take a part that was never put in before. So they said, we're not putting in a new irrigation system. We're just adding to the one we have, basically. And I was like, oh boy. So I said, I don't know really what to do now. I'll go back and I'll talk. So, and it wasn't a lot, there wasn't a lot put in or anything like that, but it is nice to see that, the public's out there watching too.
Yeah. Was that the one on Oxford?
Yes, it was.
6 additional heads.
Yeah. So yeah,
I don't think we can do anything about that.
I don't believe we can either. I think that's what I said. I think they found a loophole, but
Like
I would brought.
We could amend the regulation to say new or expanded.
We could. It's kind of a maintenance thing too. I mean, people might expand their systems, but put in updated and upgraded systems that are
Yeah,
more
right.
efficient.
True.
And I don't know that we want to
Discourage that.
discourage.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a good point, Scott. We could do that.
Food for thought.
Would you like a
Yeah.
motion?
Let's see. I had one other. I don't know if you want to discuss that anymore.
go
With the
ahead.
policy, we're good. But okay. Every year I have to ask this. Thanksgiving's coming up. We usually ask for the day off afterwards. It's been an ongoing policy that we come to you, and usually you ask me how the guys have done for the year, and I have no quorums with my team right now or anything like that. Everybody's been doing a great job. So it would have to be a motion by you guys to give us the day off, I believe, after Thanksgiving.
I move that the staff be given the day after Thanksgiving as paid day off.
I second that.
Thank you.
Been made and seconded to give the staff a paid day off on the day after Thanksgiving. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On behalf of the staff, I thank you.
Same.
On behalf of the commissioners, we thank you.
Okay,
And
the last thing.
residents, I
There we go.
think. Yeah.
Okay, I have one last thing on here. The personnel policy states that I can, if somebody doesn't use their vacation during their allotted time, I can extend it out. I myself don't have that in there, that if it says I have to ask myself if I have now. I have 9 days left over in my vacation right now, and I have 8 of them planned to be used before the end of the year. I was wondering if you guys minded if I extended those on and carried them over to the next year.
The 1 day?
Well, yeah, it's actually 9 days, because the 4th was actually my, I'm the last person who doesn't go by the year. I actually go by my anniversary date, which was I believe 7th or 9th of November, which put me at 34 years.
Wow.
Short years.
So you're looking to carry over 9 days?
Correct. And what I usually tell the guys is, if you use them up within a couple months, I'm happy. Show me that you're going to use them up, and they usually do. So I come to an agreement with them guys and my employees, and I had never had anybody take advantage of it, I'll say, or anything. So I can't really give myself permission to do that, like the policy says. So I figure you guys are my boss, so I'd have to ask you.
So what is the specific, what's the specific request then?
I would like to carry over the 9 days that I have left on my policy on vacation right now till next year. I will use them.
9 days for this calendar year, or have some carried over from previous years?
I have 9 days from the previous year that if I don't use them, I lose them. Unless you let me carry them over.
From the year that ended November 4th?
Correct.
Okay, so those aren't days that are from 2020 or 2019 or anything. They don't
No,
keep rolling.
no, no. And like I said, I'll use them up within the next 2 months. It's just, I have 9 of them already scheduled on that have been scheduled for the last 2 months. It's just during holidays and stuff like that. And a vacation I take in December and at the end of November and December every year.
Well, we should remember that Chris was working a little short-handed for a period this past year, losing the assistant super. So I would
Yeah,
move
no,
that we approve this carryover.
Second.
I would just add that, and I think you made it clear already, Chris, that try to use those up as quickly as possible. And so that we don't end up with excessive vacation time being taken during the busy time of the year. But other than that, I'm in favor of the motion. Motion's been made and seconded for Chris to carry over his vacation time into his next calendar year, which is, I guess we're into now, right?
Correct.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I thank you for that. And that is it. That's all I have tonight.
Okay. Well, we'll give some thought to that loophole,
Okay.
because I mean, it's something that we should sort of close up, but we'll bring it up at a subsequent meeting. We've gone through the old business source water protection plan update. Any subcommittee updates, bylaws, policy advisory?
No, we haven't met.
School committee, we don't have any updates, other than what I'll just share with you when we go into executive session, which is primarily just to approve the minutes from our last executive session on the school committee. And that's about it, but yeah, they have met with the town, and there's not a lot of new information. I'll share what I can. Rehab of 414 Main Street. That's Commissioner Robinson and myself. I've reached out to a couple of landscapers and haven't had any response. So to have somebody volunteer to supervise and help out, I'm kind of striking out right now. I think they're just out straight because of all the wind damage and closing up yards and finishing up and do their fall cleanups. So I haven't had any luck, and I don't know, Commissioner Robinson, if you've had a chance to.
Yeah, they just had a new director at AmeriCorps, so I'm giving her a chance to settle down. We can wait until the spring to do any plantings, I think. I mean, it's not bare earth. There's, the weeds have come in to stabilize the soil. I think it's okay for the winter.
It looks like somebody may have dropped some branches.
Oh, really?
We had a tree break. Yeah, there was a tree that broke over there, and the guys have been cutting it up slowly and getting rid of the stuff.
Okay, so that just was a tree that fell onto our
Correct.
property. We're responsible for that.
Yep.
And cut that up and kind of distribute it.
I actually think they might have finished.
Good for the amphibians. Right?
I think they actually might have finished it today, but not positive. We had to put the chainsaw in for repairs or to be sharpened. We don't have a blade. We're going to get ourselves a file because that oak's been kicking it up, and I think a little, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll keep that one on the agenda for subsequent meetings, and I'll keep trying to reach out to landscapers and see what I can find.
I have a question, Mr. Chair, for Chris.
Yes.
I think I was in Harwich yesterday. They do flushing in the fall. Is that different? I mean, we always do the spring.
Yeah, some people do it twice a year even now. It has been known, and I don't know if they just didn't have a chance to do it in the spring. Usually you don't do it in the fall because you don't want to run into cold weather and you have any kind of freezing out in the road and cause any kind of accidents. So it's usually done in the spring for those reasons, for safety reasons.
Thanks.
Great. Next old business is the frequently asked questions document for the website, which Commissioner Robinson has worked on, I believe, and provided.
Yeah, I just wanted to indicate the types of questions that, that I think, a newbie that moves into town, or even people who have been there for a long time that just have never thought about. you know, the basics besides turning on the tap. So, I mean, I think it would be nice if maybe each one of us could volunteer to answer a question. Because I don't want to do it all. But you know, what did I have? Like 12 of 12 of them?
15.
15.
15. Oh, goodness.
If I could make a
Well.
suggestion on this, I did pass this along to the students and they did indicate some willingness. So if we could hold on any of us editing or suggesting these until the next meeting, we may have a draft of some of these.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
down with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
let's-
maybe if we just, I think unless anybody wants to jump in, first of all, I think this is a great idea. And I apologize, I should have had them say something about it tonight, but I did ask them and they said they thought they could take this on and take a crack at least some of them. So I would anticipate that in their report, which we should have by December 8th, should be a draft of some answers of these. So that might be a good starting point.
Great idea.
And this is 1936, just so you know.
Yeah, good. Also, there's a little 3 or 4 minute video, the history of Katuitt I stumbled on, and there were some photos of the original groundbreaking of the water supply
Wow.
embedded into the video. I'll find it and send it around to you guys.
Is that in the backyard of your old house?
No, but yeah, you know, some guys in their coat and tie, you know, with a shovel.
Hey, we might even have that still, the video. We used to be on reel to reel up in the attic, and we paid to have it put over onto VCR. Now we have to figure out if we can get it put onto DVD.
It's on YouTube. It's on
Is
YouTube. Are you talking about an actual film of the digging? This
Yeah.
was a still photo in
With the old cable backhoe. They use cables with it and everything. Yeah. There's actually the old I think it's the Santuit Historical Society has a little thing about historical Katuitt. And I think there's a picture in there of Walter Dottridge turning on the first tap in Katuitt
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
Kathy Campbell actually has a lot of that stuff when they cleaned out Grandma Dot's house. She had
Nice.
a ton of news articles and pictures and things she was sharing with the church specifically as they were going through the building expansion, but I bet she has some of that stuff too.
Nice. Good.
Let's see.
Here's the link. I just found it. I'm gonna send it to you. It's a yeah. Stop.
Great.
Yeah, I'll send it over around to you. I'll put it in the chat. How's that?
All right.
But if it's only a few minutes, but it'd be cool to if we don't have those stills to, you know, put them on some reports or something.
There you go.
Oh, I just clicked on it. Now I can't see you guys.
Yeah, well, go back to it later. Copy it and save it.
Well, that's what I was trying to do, but evidently I
It'll
can't do
save
that.
with the meeting video. When I post the video to the webpage, it saves the chat as well. So you'll be able to get it from there as well.
Perfect. Great. All right, any other old business? I think we're good there. New business? Think you have anything new for us? Okay, hearing none. Any additional public comment?
Yes, I do have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
If one of the recommendations of the source water plan might be to consider upgrading some of the septic systems that are upgrading of the wells, and let's just say that might cost roughly 25 grand a pop, and we might be talking 10, 20, 30 of them. Where would such money potentially come from? Is this something that we could request of the Prudential Committee? How might that work? If anybody has an idea. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, we might be talking, let's say $1 million, $2 million. If in fact we felt that was a good thing to do, how would how would we potentially approach paying for that?
Well, President Biden's infrastructure bill has a lot of money for clean water infrastructure, so you can write a grant to President Biden's vote.
Okay,
Bruce might be able to help with that too. A lot of different grants that are out there and everything might be able to give a little knowledge on that.
I mean, I don't mean to be flip, but I think that it is something we need to educate ourselves about. This $1 billion, whatever it is, $1 trillion, there is a lot of money in there for cleaning up water lines. I know particularly like the lead pipe issue, but there must be broader than that.
Chris, do you have access, anybody through like the Barnstable County Utilities Association that might be, looking at this issue for the Cape as a whole?
I could ask around a little bit just to see if anybody is doing anything close to it. I know that Barnstable, after they put in their PFAS treatment and everything, that they got quite a grant for and everything. Over there, Hans was talking a lot about the sodium issues there, and he really wanted to start bringing up a little more of a Cape-wide issue problem with it.
Yeah.
So he was trying to do some stuff, but I think he just might have been pretty busy right now with his plant and everything else getting online, and he didn't think he was picking his battles right now.
What about, what's her name? There's another Jen from Mass Water.
Jen Peterson.
Jen Peterson. I
Yeah.
bet you she has her eyes on this. Maybe we
Yeah,
can try to
she
reach out
could
to
tell
her.
you all there's the SRF funding out there, the straight revolving fund and everything else. I don't know what the percentage, how much they put out, but this whole new package is coming out. We haven't really heard what exactly has been or will be offered to who or how much.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I guess might make a suggestion that we add an agenda item to our next couple of meetings and try to think a little bit about, infrastructure needs, capital, I think as Commissioner Robinson suggested, there may be some federal money coming, and those who are thinking ahead and might be maybe not shovel ready, but at least conceptual ready, we should be smart about this, and maybe there's an opportunity here. So the actions that I can think of would be to reach out to Jen Peterson at Mass Water, what's it called? Mass Waterworks Association.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she's thinking about this, and maybe the county. I'm not sure who else would be worth talking to who's watching this money, but it's something I think we should have on our radar.
How would, just for my own education, because I get calls about it all the time, how would any of that be impacted by the sewer plan that the town of Barnstable is implementing?
Well,
Not coming out to Katuitt.
Sorry, Mark?
It's not coming out to Katuitt in the next foreseeable future. I mean,
yeah, it's
certainly
not part of their plan, and it would probably be pretty hard to amend it to get there. The area that's within our contributing areas would be separate from that, but I think we could probably make a pretty good case if there was funding available. I do think we should just kind of have our eyes on this, and I'm not suggesting you doing a lot of work, Chris, but I think maybe just reaching out to contacts like Jen Peterson to try to get some updates. And I'll certainly try to keep it in mind as well. But I think it's kind of hard to predict exactly what's going to happen, but I think you're right. There's definitely some money coming.
There is, and the thing is that's going to happen to me, and it's already started only by, I've been contacted by one company at least, but the engineering companies are starting to throw out, we got this much money coming, and we'd love to help you out with this. And I just don't want to call one person and get stuck with them or anything like that, and
Right,
talk to them a little bit more. But I can make a couple phone calls and see what's out there, what they think is coming, our way, and whether it's for treatment, whether it's for cleanup, whether it's for, lead removal, what they're thinking, and, what levels they're thinking about it. I think a lot's going to end up going towards PFAS, but that's only because it's so emergent right now and it's getting to be such a big problem. I believe Barnstable's going to have to put in a plant right now, a treatment plant.
Right.
So, I mean, people like that are going to be looking for big portions of money to help out to get rid of the PFAS, and that's going to, I think, be pushed a lot out there.
Scott, I think that, you know, that idea of retrofitting septic systems, upgrading, it would probably need to be analyzed in the context of the cost of that versus the cost of just a treatment plant.
I agree.
And, you know, I think even thinking bigger, it just seems to me that it doesn't make sense for Katuitt to have its own treatment plant when it could be somehow shared with COM or Mashpee. And I know that this is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
But I mean, we looked at the cost of the manganese plant, 10 to 15 million. I'm sure it's gone up. It just doesn't seem feasible for a little district like ours to be dealing with a plant like that.
I agree. And I tend to think source control is more cost effective. And
It might be, but I just think it needs to be analyzed side by side with something bigger.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and I think that the source control is really a great way to go. And I also think that innovative septic systems for a small village is, in particular, a targeted innovative septic system upgrades for our small villages is probably, when we look at it side by side with a larger treatment plant, is going to be a lot more cost efficient. So it's something that I think we should definitely keep on our agenda as old business. Infrastructure upgrades, probably, right?
Yeah.
And as well as the source water protection planning, maybe blend those two a bit.
I think it fits in both of them, Tom. And, you know, depending on how the money is appropriated, maybe it could be spent for either treatment or for source controls. That's very possible. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, let's all keep that in our minds and try to flesh out some information about what might be coming our way.
No pun intended, right?
Right.
So there must be, isn't there a Mass Waterworks Association that would be
That's Jen
drilling
Peterson.
down on this money?
That's Jen Peterson we've been talking
Okay.
about. Yep.
Good.
I think she would be a good source.
So I think that's a better source of information than the consultants.
Yeah, I agree. Those consultants are horrible. Can't trust them.
Good. Good suggestion. I think we need to keep it on the radar and keep it in our minds and work on that. So,
hey, I just want, if I may, Tom, Chris, what do you think the chances of getting Jen to attend one of our meetings?
She is one busy woman. I'll talk to her, but she's pretty busy. But
throw my name out there, might help.
Okay.
I've been on a bunch of committees with her. Maybe we can get her.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting discussion. I think she's probably pretty well informed.
all right. Well, at this point, I'd like to, our next meeting date, we've already set for December 8th.
Yes.
At 5:30 as a Zoom. And so at this point, I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session, to end public session, go into executive session, just for a quick update on the elementary school.
So moved.
Do you have to read the language, Todd?
We move into executive session. I move we adjourn the public session and move into executive session.
A second.
Is that the suitable language, Jen?
So just to clarify, that's for purpose 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of a property, and the chair, if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the public body.
That's what I meant to say.
Right.
Thank you so much. So motion's been made, amended, and seconded to go into executive session for the purpose, section 6, purpose 6.
Right.
And so at this point, we're going to adjourn the public meeting and go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, recording.